Hey everybody, welcome to the Dex, where we cover trivia and strategy for a different Pokemon each week. I'm Hiker Alex.
And I'm PokeKellz, but I'm also pretty darn hungry.
Oh, really? Well, hold on then, because I've got just the thing for you.
Oh, really? Cool, man, thanks.
Ta-da!
This is a rock.
Yeah, well, you know what I always say. If it's good enough for this week's Pokemon, it's good enough for us. I noticed that you didn't say that with me.
That's because we never say that. Some Pokemon eat like souls. Are you gonna eat a soul?
Yes.
It's Steelix. Steelix, though. I can't do that again or I'll throw up. Steelix is the Iron Snake Pokemon. It's one of the coolest Pokemon in my eyes, and excluding Megas, only Wailord is bigger than him, and even then, Steelix totally outweighs him. But then again, he is a giant metal snake.
Yeah, so Steelix evolves from Onix starting in Gen 2 if you trade him while holding a metal coat. But apparently, according to canon, they can also evolve naturally once they've lived for 100 years.
Calling him the Iron Snake seems to point to a real-world creature as his inspiration, like the burrowing snakes of Trinidad and Tobago. But in my mind, his sheer size and power imply that his real inspiration is probably a little more mythical.
Enter the Worm, that's W-Y-R-M by the way, a class of wingless, legless dragons that are often found in caves or under the sea and have a habit of being super protective about their loot. Also, no arms or legs, so just like Steelix, these things have super buff jaws.
And that's exactly how Steelix get around underground. Apparently, an Onix eats so much iron ore as he digs through the mountains that after 100 years, his body starts to harden. And as he goes deeper, the heat and the pressure temper him into steel. That is so cool. Bad science!
Bad science? You serious right now?
Oh, you know I'm being serious right now.
Should I go get the lab coats?
Absolutely, homie.
Homie?
That's right, dog. It's time for this week's ridiculous segment. Bad Pokemon Science!
Homie.
So look, I know what you're thinking. Iron, pressure, and heat do make steel the Dex, but that's like having Velveeta in a hot dog bun and calling it grilled cheese. Take another look at Steelix's Pokedex, friends, because it's riddled with some awfully bad science!
You need iron to make steel, but once you have it, you also have to smelt it in a blast furnace at about 1600 degrees Fahrenheit to remove all its impurities. I mean, come on, we're making steel here, not diamonds, and saying pressure has anything to do with it isn't just irresponsible, it's also some seriously bad science!
So let's talk heat. Yes, the Earth is super hot on the inside, and every 328 feet below ground you go, the temperature increases by 5.4 degrees Fahrenheit. But that also means that to get to 1600 degrees, Steelix would have to go to roughly 97,185 feet down. That's 18 miles, which is certainly possible, but the deepest a Steelix has ever actually been found is at 3,168 feet, which is only 52 degrees hotter than the surface. It might melt a chocolate bar or something, sure, but smelting iron? More like smelting bad science!
And speaking of diamonds, Steelix is supposed to be just as hard as one. But if ever a Steelix actually did get down to proper steel smelting depths, diamonds don't even start to show up for another 75 to 100 miles down. So next time someone asks you what Minecraft and Pokemon have in common, tell them, oh, nothing, and then wait around smugly for a second before you say, JK, it's bad science! Ah, roasted.
Aw, come on, just because the facts don't add up doesn't mean that Steelix isn't one of my coolest and most favorite Pokebuddies!
Yeah, man, and they even kind of fixed it with the Mega.
They did?
Yeah, apparently when it Mega evolves, all the cells in its body are crystallized. This makes Steelix harder than any mineral and able to withstand any depth or temperature.
Ah, cool. So he could go down deep enough to be smelted if you love him enough. And guess what? I totally do.
Still probably take him like 85 hours though.
Huh?
Nothing! And speaking of Mega Steelix, let's figure out how to use it to bop your friends. Gen 6 battle strats start right now.
Kids Bop!
One of the best things about using Steelix competitively is how straightforward he is. Big and buff and heavy, and that's it. So much so that adding a Mega just meant doing the same, but better. So, we're gonna do the exact same strat for either. Start with an impish one and super train it in HP, special defense, and a little in physical defense too for good measure.
Steelix is slow and powerful, and its stats make it very easy for it to take its time getting ready, so it's practically not even an issue to literally just always use Stealth Rock first turn out. Such a valuable tactical advantage.
Yeah, the thing to remember here is Steelix is pretty much never moving first, so don't freak out if you lose a little HP, and focus on using the right tool for the right situation. And with Stab Earthquake and Stab Heavy Slam, which is based on his 1,631.4 pound weight, the choice is never all that tough.
Still, in that last slot, you might want to go with Roar, just in case anyone gets any bright ideas and starts trying to set up on you. Plus, it pairs really well with Stealth Rock and can absolutely ruin popular choices like Talonflame and Charizard.
Yeah, and the exact same goes for normal Steelix, though if you're worried about the lower stats, make sure and give him leftovers to hold. It'll buy him a little extra time, and make people waste turns on things like knockoff.
Of course, that's not the only way to train a Steelix, so as always, here are a few random thoughts.
Another great stat-based move for Steelix is Gyro Ball, since the speed stat more reliably gives Steelix the advantage in exchange for less accuracy in PP.
As with pretty much every single Pokemon there is, Toxic is a great way for Steelix to get around walls that he doesn't have a type advantage against. Smell you later, Vaporeon. I love you.
I know Mega Steelix isn't Rock type, but considering his ability Sand Force boosts the power of Steel, Rock, and Ground moves by 30% in a Sandstorm, running Rock Slide or Stone Edge on a Sandstorm team Mega Steelix is pretty tempting.
And finally, if you're still worried about staying alive, there's no reason you can't get that longevity by swapping out Stealth Rock and Roar for Rest and Sleep Talk. This works especially well for more vulnerable normal Steelix.
And that's it, Steelix. The math might be wrong, but does it even really matter? This thing kicks butt.
Right? True love. For more Mega Evolution strats, click here for a special curated playlist, or here for more information on Steel types.
Also, why not check out the Dex podcast? There's a new one every week where we talk Pokemon current events, discuss the Pokemon fandom, and even answer fan questions. I'm Hiker Alex.
And I'm PokeKellz. Tune in next week for Exhibit's favorite ever episode of
The Dex.